You're listening to the Manifest Your Greatness podcast, and this is episode number 68. Do you have a goal that you'd love to accomplish, but just don't know where to start? Or maybe you've gotten off to a great start, but just can't seem to get out of first gear? I'm Curtis J. Washington, founder of the Manifest Your Greatness coaching program, and I've helped people from all walks of life manifest the greatness that they already possess deep inside. If you are committed to taking the steps required to become the best version of yourself, you've come to the right place. This is the Manifest Your Greatness podcast. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Manifest Your Greatness podcast, where we explore practical and actionable steps to help you manifest the greatness that you already possess deep inside. And today we're going to talk a little bit about living your truth and why it's so important, and also why it seems to be such an elusive thing. But when we break it down and we start to look at what we are doing and how we are approaching it, by making a few minor tweaks, we can actually start living who we are 100% unapologetically every day. And also we can reap the rewards of that. We can really, really feel the benefits of doing this, and it will greatly enhance not only the joy in our everyday life, but also just a sense of understanding and confidence in ourselves that we are living the life we are supposed to be living, the life for us. And I'm going to take a step back and just talk a little bit about what we end up doing in a lot of cases when we're not on this constant discovery process. When we kind of disengage from it, here's what happens. For a lot of people, what ends up happening is that messages that come from other sources like the media or family or friends or culture or companies or friendship circles, whatever it is, whatever the overwhelming kind of message or the underlying themes that you seem to absorb from these sources, it becomes what you think is a part of you, but is really a attempt to be who you think you should be. And a lot of times this is done in a pretty insidious way, because when you think about media, for example, oftentimes, marketing, that's what it's all about, right? It's trying to get you to feel as if without something, you are not enough. And that translates through so many different sources, right? In movies, a lot of love stories, they talk, they can make it seem as if you're not this really attractive and smart and just someone who is in the right place at the right time, right? A lot of these romance movies, everything just seems to to present itself in a way that, oh my gosh, it'd be wonderful if, or this is what I would need, or that's the type of person that if I that I need to become in order to attract someone like this in a movie or something like that. And it can be very misleading. Not only that, it can also really impact our self-esteem, and it can make us feel as if we need to be less of ourselves to be more successful. And I think that's a trap. I think it really is something that if we become aware of, we can help kind of protect ourselves against. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about today, is this whole idea of living your truth. A lot of people think that it involves sacrifice, and that it involves pulling away from certain people or activities or whatever it may be, and kind of closing in on oneself. A lot of times people talk about this whole um, understanding your purpose journey as an internal one, and it is. It's an internal journey, but at the same time, there are so many things that we could be doing, and there's so many ways that we could be showing up that allow us an opportunity to have this journey and also to continue to participate, continue to contribute, continue to be valuable, in whatever environment we're in, whether that's work or, relationships or things like that. So it's not really an either or, but the key is we really need to take a step back and become more of the observer in terms of what we are doing and how we are thinking and how we are feeling. And in order to do that, we need to stop judging ourselves for what we are doing simply from the perspective of, is this the right thing to do? Is this something that someone else would do? Is this what's expected of me to do? Is this what I should do? These are all traps because they take away an opportunity for us to explore who we are, how we'd like to show up, and we discount it. We discount it because we don't think there's a place for it. So what I would like to talk about with that is what can we do, right? What can we do to become more aware of what makes us who we are and to live that without feeling as if we have to separate ourselves or put ourselves in a box, externally when other people look at us, and in certain situations we have to wear masks and things like that to kind of cover who we really are. How can we show up 100%? How can we be 100% unapologetically us and still feel good and still feel as if we belong? So here's the thing. This can only be done if we are not judging ourselves and if we are not taking other people's opinions of ourselves as fact, as that's the way we are. Because we have to remember that other people's opinions are what they think. And that's what they think, and we can't control that. So if we remember that that's something that they think, and it's something that is external to us and something that's beyond our locus of control, then we can remind ourselves what we can control, and that is how we think and how we feel and how we react and respond to what's happening around us and what people say, what people think. And there are instances in our lives that it's very difficult to do that. However, I think if you are really open with yourself, you can start to really take in information and not let it really twist your own way of thinking and your own belief in yourself and what you think is how you would like to show up and what you think is right. So here's an example. So when I was younger, and I was learning Japanese. Okay, obviously I'm black. I was learning Japanese, and I moved to Japan. And by that time, I spoke pretty good Japanese. But while I was there, I became fluent. I could speak. I would confuse people on the phone. My last name is Washington. People would think, oh, did you say, Washi, which is like eagle, or, they would come up with other different names thinking, oh, he couldn't have said Washington, right? So I was pretty confident in my Japanese. So when I was out and about, and if I had a question, I would ask someone, and of course in Japanese. And it was amazing because so many times I would get a reply from the person in, their best attempt at English, often, broken English for a lot of the people because it's not their first language and they're living in their home country. And they're trying to answer my question in Japanese. They're trying to answer it to me in English. Or here's another one. I would get a response saying, I don't speak English, even though I'm speaking Japanese to them. So So the reason I bring this up is because I know I can speak Japanese. I'm confident that what I said was clear, but someone else is not hearing me. They are not observing, and they're not understanding, and they're not believing that I have this ability to speak Japanese. They see my face and they think there's no, it does not match, does not compute. And they they don't even see it. They don't hear it. They go into a default mode and they say, I don't understand English. Now, the reason I bring this up is because that's what life is like in general. If you have an idea and you have a way of expressing yourself, and there are things that you want to do, and you want to show up 100% unapologetically you, a lot of people are not going to get it. But that does not mean that you are not you. What that means, and that what you are trying to contribute and how you're trying to interact and show up in the world, that it is not valuable. Okay, your self-worth does not equal your net worth, right? Obviously, we all know that. What you are, who you are inside, obviously, you can't put a price on that. And oftentimes, other people will not see what you see. They will not feel how you feel, and they will not have the same visions and dreams and goals that you have. And you may not be able to relate to people on that level when it comes to expressing some of these truest parts of yourselves. And of course, the media, culture, your family, your friend circles, so many people are kind of indoctrinated into the norm, right? Into this is the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. The song by Bruce Hornsby in the Range, right? So that's the way that a lot of people see the world. And in order to see yourself and to let yourself free of the common expectation, the common understanding, the common interpretation of the way things need to be, you need to really kind of step back and really kind of give yourself an opportunity to observe yourself without judgment. The other here's a practical way that you can incorporate this into your daily life. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this as well. He explains it brilliantly. He talks about our minds. And so a lot of us kind of think that our mind is who we are, or our bodies are who we are, or this is who we are. And what Dr. Joe Dispenza and others, including myself, propose is that we are not our minds. Our mind is a tool that we use to figure things out, to understand and interpret the world around us, but we are not our minds. We are observing our minds. We can control our minds, but only with discipline and practice and effort, and being able to really understand that we are the observer of our minds. And Dr. Joe Dispenza says we can think of our minds as like a dog that's trying to learn things, but it wanders, and you have to tell it to come back. You say sit, sometimes it doesn't sit. You say roll over, sometimes it gives you a handshake. So it requires focus and discipline, but it also requires the ability to observe it without judgment, because that's when we really can see what we're doing up there, right? So this is an exercise we can all do. And this is also an exercise that will help you really start to feel what is influencing your interpretations and how it's affecting your behavior, what thoughts are really triggering certain actions or reactions from yourself. And it really gives you an opportunity to take a good look at. It's like if you think of a projector screen, right? We can get lost in the movie on the screen, but really we're the projector. We just forget. We think we're in it, and this is everything, and this is who we are, and we're in this movie, when actually we are the ones who are actually creating the movie through all of these different ways of interacting with the environment that we have, and our mind is one of those ways. So when you have situations where you find yourself confronted with, either opinions or information that you believe is maybe a little different than you think it should be, um, by being the observer, you give yourself that space and that time to really kind of do a little bit of due diligence on your own thoughts. So I really recommend that. And this is another way to look at it. Bruce Lee often said, he said, be water, my friend. And what he meant by that is water can take all these different forms, right? It can be gentle, it can flow, or it can crash, he used to say. And if we think of our observance of our mind as being water, if we are observing our mind and if we think of it as water, it can adjust, it can adapt, it can flow, it can be strong when it needs to be, and help us defend ourselves. But at the same time, it's giving ourselves the opportunity without judgment to really kind of touch and get a sense of what's coming towards us. What information are we taking, and are we just regurgitating because that's the way it is? And where are the opportunities that we have to pay attention to what we're doing in our daily lives and say, is this really who I am? Is this my essence? Or am I just doing this because everybody else is doing this and someone said this is the way it's supposed to be, this is the way it's done, and it's been this way for generations, and therefore, right? So that is what I wanted to really bring up today, is that it's very important if we want to really understand who we are and we want to express ourselves and show up as 100% unapologetically ourselves. That's not only a growth process, but that's actually the goal, and that is the reward, and that is your version of a gift of success, whatever you want to call it. Because when you are living your truth, you can show up without all of the artificial, who do I need to be in this situation? Who do I have to please by saying things a certain way? Yes, you may rub some people the wrong way. And yes, I'm not saying go out and be rude and be disrespectful, but what I am saying is that with this understanding of yourself, you'll be able to really get into your own mind, and you'll be able to use it more as a tool to really engage in the world and to really bring out from within what's important to you, and to express it, and to really see the value in it. And this will also help you relate with others better too. So that's the whole water concept. It's when other people say things that get under your skin, like water, let it flow on by, right? It's not saying, oh, just ignore it and act like no one's that it wasn't said, or that act like this never happened. That's not what I'm saying at all. But we all know these feelings, right? When someone says something and we're just like, gosh, what brought that on? And then it just kind of digs, and then later we're still thinking about, it's like, God, that was really rude. Man, that really pisses me off. Man, you know what? I'm offended. Everybody goes through that. But with this be water mentality, be like water, right? You can accept it and not agree with it, not condone it, but you can also let it flow. It's something it's not something that is going to change who you are. It's an observance. You're observing your mind, you are realizing the thoughts that you are having, and you are processing it and letting it go. Not forgetting it, right? Not condoning it, and not forgiving it, with no, just off the cuff. That we're talking about really processing it and letting it go. So this is a great way to really get in touch with yourself and to start moving more towards that living your truth, right? And that's what it's all about. That is the reward. Living your truth is the reward. So I hope these concepts help. They've been extremely helpful to me. I will tell you that it is a lot easier for me to go through and speak to lots of different people as I do now. I'm much more active socially. I'm out and meeting people very often. And the comments or the responses or retorts that I would receive, the attitude that I would receive, I used to feel like it was either me or them or take things personally, where now I'm always showing up as myself, and I am not allowing negativity. I'm not allowing, people's um, remarks to grab hold of my ego, and make me feel inferior or make me feel like perhaps I'm not worthy, or that I'm doing it wrong, or that I'm wasting my time, or that I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. I know who I am, and I have 100% comfort and confidence in that. Does that mean I know everything? Hell no. It has nothing to do with knowing anything else except for knowing yourself. You know who you are, you know your intentions, you know how you are showing up in the world. So use some of these concepts, use that observing the mind, use that mind like water, thinking, becoming water. Think about being, just being flexible, and being able to touch and to really get understanding of the essence of kind of what is happening, and don't be blindsided by, and don't be distracted by everything and all these other methods of communication that are out there, the environment, others telling you you are not worthy, you are not enough, buy this, buy that, and then you will be happy, right? Like the giving tree, cut me down, cut the branches, cut everything off, take this, build a house, then you will be happy. No, it doesn't work like that. All of these things out here aren't going to do it. It's got to come from inside. And this is a way to help you get to that point. And this is a process like anything else, but getting to that point of living your truth. So that's my challenge for you today, to start observing your thoughts, observe your mind. Don't become a slave of your mind. Don't let your mind just do things. Start to observe what it is doing. Like a dog, right? It starts to wander. Hey, get back here. Starts to drift. Hey, come on. Starts to, bark. Stop barking. Be quiet. Be quiet. I need this moment of silence to really get inside and feel myself and understand what's going on. So use that. Use these opportunities to grow. Use these opportunities to really get a better understanding of who you are without judgment, and to give yourself an opportunity to show up as 100% unapologetically yourself. Thank you so much for joining this episode of the Manifest Your Greatness podcast, and I look forward to spending time with you on an episode in the near future.